Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 Transformers figures from the War for Cybertron Trilogy lines in my collection. Following off of my previous video was my top 10 favorite Studio Series figures that I own. That's the previous video, you can go check that out on my channel if you want to see what Studio Series figures I like. Now we're talking War for Cybertron Trilogy and my favorites in my collection. Now obviously this is just my personal favorites that I own in my collection. It's not an objective list on which figures from Siege and whatnot are the best. Speaking of that, I have the figures that I consider War for Cybertron Trilogy is Siege, Earthrise, Kingdom, obviously. I'm also considering the Generation Selects that released during that time, as well as the Netflix stuff, which is basically, Earthrise, Siege stuff. So yeah, let's get right on it. And in front of you here, these are just some honorable mentions that were really close to making my list, and I really like a lot. Actually, Thundercracker technically isn't an honorable mention. It sort of is an honorable mention. I'll touch on more of that later, so I'll take him out of the shot here. Got a few honorable mentions here that just didn't quite make the list. We have a couple deluxes. Got the Runamuck, which I really like. I don't know why I like Runamuck and Runabout so much. They're in the early IDW comics, and I really liked them then. I think that's why. But I think it's a really solid deluxe figure. I really like the look of Runamuck. I still need to get Runabout. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I didn't know that Runabout was going to be sold at Toys R Us up here in Canada, so I missed out when he was online. Now he's not on their website anymore, and he's not easy to get on eBay because I really don't want to pay crazy prices for Runabout, so I might not end up getting him, which really sucks because I really want him. But I don't know, maybe I'll be able to track him down at some point. But yeah, really good deluxe there. Another really good deluxe, I'd say probably one of the best ones from the Siege War for Cybertron line is Spinister. I have no attachment to this character at all. He's just a really cool Transformer figure. I love the colors. I really love the design of his head. I know I'm a sucker for the faceplate sort of design. Kind of looks like an evil Optimus in certain ways, so I think that looks awesome. He has the cool double barrel guns going on. The helicopter mode's cool. This is a really solid deluxe figure. And then the recent Beast Wars Optimus Primal Voyager. He's really awesome. He's got a bunch of cool features. Both modes are really cool. Articulation's great. Again, the War for Cybertron, these lines, I don't want to say they're as good as Masterpiece figures, but they're good enough where I feel like I don't need to get the Masterpiece figures. And while I was never planning to get the Masterpiece Primal anyways, because I haven't watched Beast Wars since I've been really young, and I only watched it a really little bit, so I barely have any attachment to Beast Wars. I barely remember it. I really got to get around to watching the series at some point. But they're cool toys, they're cool figures, cool characters, and Primal is a really awesome one. So let's get on to it with number 10. And at number 10, we have Siege Ratchet. This is my first, and I think might be my only Ratchet figure in the collection. War for Cybertron Trilogy has really been the first time I've been actively collecting Transformers. Before the War for Cybertron Trilogy kind of came out, I was really, really selective with even though Transformers is like my second favorite franchise. For whatever reason, I wasn't really too crazy into collecting the figures until the War for Cybertron Trilogy came out. So I haven't had a Ratchet till now with the Siege line. And he was a Walgreens exclusive in the States, I believe, and up here in Canada, he was an EB Games exclusive, and I was able to get him at EB Games, which is awesome. And apparently now he's pretty expensive to get, unfortunately. So I'm really happy to have him. I did want to get the Earthrise one because I'd rather have the Earth mode, but that 2-pack went up on Amazon Canada. I pre-ordered it. They canceled the pre-order it, and now the only one available is from a third-party seller selling it for like $200, which makes no sense to me. So I'm probably never getting that, which really sucks because. Oh wait, no, it's something else. That's the I'm talking about the Ironhide Prowl Set, which that just got screwed on. But also, I never even saw this guy posted on any website available in Canada for the price he came with for the Earthrise version. So I'm just going to settle with the Siege one, which is fine. But it's a good mold. The vehicle mode's cool. Not perfect, but cool. He's got good articulation. I like the robot mode a lot. Love the head sculpt. Looks awesome. I like his accessories. I love that he comes with a wrench. I think that's awesome as well. And just a really solid figure. Next up at number 9, we've got the Kingdom Voyager class Cyclonus. Again, this is a first for me. This is my first Cyclonus. Probably will be the only one I get because this guy is pretty close to as perfect as a Chug Cyclonus can get, in my opinion. I think the colors are great. The sculpt and paint is awesome. He's got light piping for the eyes. He's big, you know, he's a pretty decent sized Voyager. He's tall, he's broad. Both modes basically have like no kibble. Like, he is clean looking in the robot mode and he's clean looking in the vehicle mode, and both modes are awesome. Transformation is fun to do. He has his gun, good articulation, super solid, looks awesome with the Studio Series 86 Scourge, and I'm really excited for that Galvatron coming out. I know some people don't like how that looks, but I don't have a Galvatron, but I want to get Galvatron for a long time, so I'm really excited to get Galvatron to display with Cyclonus and Scourge. And at number 8, this one's a little bit of a cheat. It's 3 figures, but they're all basically the same. It is the Seekers, Starscream and the Seekers, specifically the main 3. This is the first time I have like multiple Starscreams. I think almost everyone does. But this is the first time I've actually assembled all 3 of the Seekers together. It's probably the only time I do. I didn't bother getting the Earthrise ones because I really like the Siege mold. I love the robot modes. I really like the Tetrajet modes. The transformation's good. I think they're really solid figures, and I don't need multiple versions of the 3. I think these 3 are perfectly fine for my collection. And yeah, these ones are just awesome. Great articulation. Yeah, really cool. Really cool. Definitely some of my favorite Seekers and / version of Starscream I have in the collection. If I had to pick out of these 3, honestly, I think Skywarp might be my favorite out of 3, just because I really love the black and purples that he has going on out of these 3. He's apparently really expensive and hard to get now, this Skywarp. A lot of people swap out like Hotlink as their Skywarp because they can't get this guy for a good price. I'm pretty sure I got this guy on Amazon Canada for under retail, which is crazy. I didn't think this guy would be that hard to get, but apparently he is. But I'm really happy to have all 3 of these. They look awesome together. And now at number 7, this is, I believe, the only Netflix figure I have on this list. Which is technically it's Earthrise Soundwave. I have both. I have the Siege one and I have this Earthrise one. And while this one's more expensive, I definitely like this one better. It's a G1 style Soundwave. He has less kibble. He comes with 2 of the cassettes, Ravage and Laserbeak, where the other one you had to find them separately, and I never found the Siege versions of Laserbeak and Ravage separately ever. I never found them. Articulation's really good. Looks amazing. This one has the red eyes, which I prefer over the yellow. Again, this is one of those figures where I would not call it masterpiece level by any means, but it is a worthy it's a worthy stand-in if you can't afford the masterpiece, don't want to spend the money on the masterpiece, which is completely understandable. This is such a good alternative for that. I think this is probably, if it's not the best Chug Soundwave, it's definitely one of the best. It's really good. And again, another figure that unfortunately is kind of hard to get, and as people are asking crazy prices for, which is pretty unfortunate because everyone should have the chance to be able to get this guy. I just got really lucky and stumbled upon it in a store, and I think that's how most people are going through that. But yeah, Netflix Soundwave. And at number 6, I think we're at now. Number 6, we have the Kingdom Megatron. Yes. Which I have this little button here signed by David K. I want to use it in a video, but I'll probably never review this figure because I don't usually review Transformers. Yeah, this is really cool. Way more fun than it should be. But yeah, this figure, like I said, my attachment to Beast Wars isn't crazy, but my attachment to David K is fairly significant because he voices Megatron, Armada Megatron, which I would love to get a new figure of, and is the Megatron that I initially grew up with and was my first introduction to Megatron. So I love David K as Megatron, and the Beast Wars figure is really good. Definitely deserving of the leader class price point. He's fairly big and tall for what we're getting for leader class nowadays. Great articulation, looks amazing. The T-Rex mode's awesome. The robot mode's awesome. Yeah, there's just I think this is in the contention for top 10 of the year so far for figures of the year. I love it that much. It's really, really good. And getting down at the top 5, we have a big boy, and it is Commander Class Jetfire. Yeah, he's awesome. He's one of the bigger Transformers I have in my collection. I just like how he's big. He's significantly bigger than even the leader class figures, even the older leader class figures he's bigger than. He's got cool effect parts. He comes with a bunch of accessories. You have the double-barreled rifle that can turn into 2 rifles. Get a bunch of different guns and cannons you can put on him. The armor you can put on him. You can swap the insignia to be Autobot or Decepticon. He has light piping. The paint apps that are there on him are great. He's got some nice gimmicks. Both vehicle mode and robot mode are awesome. And I just like Jetfire as well as a character. So really awesome figure that I really love a lot. I didn't get Skylinks. He probably wouldn't be on the list anyway. I'm not really a huge fan of Transformers characters that don't transform into humanoid robots. And I don't really want to track Skylinks down now because I think he's going to start going up. But if I can find him for a good price, I'd potentially get him. And then the new Commander class Hot Rod, or Optimus Prime, is coming out. I want to get, but I'm having a really hard time justifying Commander class price point for him. But we'll see. I'll probably wait for reviews on him. But yeah, Jetfire. And at number 4, we have Shockwave. And I do have a couple different Shockwaves in the collection. This one's 100% my favorite. Shockwave's one of my favorite characters, and I think they just nailed this figure. Again, this is another figure where it's so good and looks so good as a G1 Shockwave. I really don't feel a need to buy the Masterpiece. I'm going to stick with this one probably. It's just that good. I don't think it's Masterpiece quality, but I think it's good enough where I don't need the Masterpiece. And it's a great figure. I like the darker purple, and just sculpt and paint details are awesome. He has some of the best light piping I've seen on a Transformers figure. Even though there's only a little light square there, even when you're not even putting direct light into it, it still lights up a decent amount, which is awesome. The vehicle mode's decent. Articulation is really good. He'd be a little higher on the list, but I think this should have been a Voyager release. He's a Voyager scaled, kind of a Voyager sized figure. His engineering isn't anything that crazy. He's only a leader class because they added those armor up bits, which I don't hate. In the armored up configuration, he still looks cool. It does help make the vehicle mode look better, and I do like kind of having the little hover drone or whatever. But I would have been much happier to just omit those accessories and just have him as a figure that's like $20, $30 cheaper. But he's an awesome figure. Absolutely love this Shockwave. And number 3, this probably shouldn't be too much of a surprise if you're familiar. Optimus is my favorite character, and I think this is an awesome version of Optimus. It is the Galaxy Upgrade Optimus Prime Leader Class figure from Siege, which is based on the Leader Class Transformers Cybertron Optimus from Transformers Cybertron. And while this figure is not as good as the original figure, because the original figure was much bigger, had more gimmicks and all that stuff, and I'd love to track that figure down. But as I have learned very quickly, he is very expensive to get on eBay or whatever, and it's also hard to find him complete, so that sucks, but I'll continue the search and hopefully can grab him at some point. But this is a really good sort of modernization, kind of throwback without usurping that original figure. I love the head sculpt. I just always loved the Cybertron head design for Optimus. And he's got the bulkier chest and whatnot. He's got the huge guns that rotate out, which I've always loved. He's got these giant cannons. He's got the cannons on the legs. And the wings look really good. I just always loved this as a souped up, I'm ready to destroy 1 million Decepticons kind of Optimus that he means business. He's got the guns and he means business. So I really like this figure a lot. So at number 2, we have the biggest Transformer in my collection and the biggest figure in my collection. It is the Titan class Omega Supreme. He'll probably be my only Titan class figure for a long time, maybe ever, because these guys are so big and I just don't have the room to display multiple Titan class figures. But I'm so happy to finally have a Titan class figure in the collection. I've always wanted to have one, and Omega Supreme is definitely one of the ones I would have wanted to have the most. He's one of my favorite of the Titans. Maybe my favorite. I don't know. It's pretty hard to compare between him and Metroplex. But I love Omega Supreme. This figure is done really well. I know some people complain he's a parts former, but he turns into 3 separate things. He has to parts form to be 3 separate things. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't really care. But some people do, I guess. He's got the effect parts, which are really cool. I have him grabbing trigger happy, which I think is awesome. You can do that. He's very well articulated for such a huge figure. He's very well articulated. It's crazy. It's one of those figures I really don't mess with it a whole lot because it's kind of hard to. He's so big and heavy, or I'm not just going to take him off the shelf and mess with him. It's because it's kind of not convenient. But I just get him in this one pose. He's basically been in the same pose for ever since I've gotten them. I just love this pose so much where I just don't move him at all. He's just so impressive on the shelf. He towers over everything. He takes up a lot of shelf space, unfortunately, but he's so worth it because he's just so cool and imposing looking. Absolutely love this figure. 100% one of my favorite Transformers in my entire collection. And lastly, my number one figure from the War for Cybertron Trilogy, it is Earthrise Optimus Prime, specifically the Leader Class figure, with a special little shout out to the Shattered Glass Repaint Generation Selects, because I've always wanted to get a Shattered Glass version, and I think this one looks absolutely awesome. Love the colors on this mold. But yeah, this is kind of like, as of right now, it's kind of the quintessential Generations Chug scale Optimus Prime. Some people have said it is basically the Voyager class equivalent to MP10 Masterpiece Optimus. Again, I would not necessarily say this is on par with Masterpiece. That's kind of an overstatement with these figures. But again, it's another one of those things where it's a perfectly good budget stand-in alternative. If you don't want to spend the money on Masterpiece Optimus, which I completely understand because the new one that's out, MP44, is way too stupid expensive, this is such a good Optimus to get. I think he looks amazing. The proportions, for the most part, are pretty good. I do think his torso is a little too squished in. But aside from that, the proportions are really good. Articulation's amazing. This kibble, he barely has any kibble. Basically, these wheels are the only kibble. He's super clean. Even the forearms, they improved over the Siege, and they don't have those guns hanging off, which is awesome. I did put the Siege head on because it was painted better, but aside from that, it's basically a perfect Optimus head sculpt. Comes with some cool accessories. You can open up the chest and have the Matrix in there. Got the gun. He does come with the trailer, which I know some people want this guy to be a Voyager release and not have the trailer. I like having the trailer. It's just a cool thing to have for me personally, but I understand people not wanting it. Include with them to get a lower price. That's completely understandable. And yeah, as Optimus is my favorite character, it's one of my favorite Optimuses in the entire collection. Again, just super solid. And all these figures are just a testament on how good Transformers are right now. It's crazy how good Transformers are at this current time. We're really in a golden age, I suppose, of Transformers. There's been other times in Transformers collecting that have been really good, but really right now, if you want to get into collecting Transformers figures, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, there's not been a better time than right now. Anyways, that's it for my list. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, or let me know what your favorite Transformers figures are from the War for Cybertron Trilogy line. I'd love to hear what your guys' favorite figures are, because they're definitely going to be different than mine, or maybe some will be similar. That's creating discussion is always a good thing, and it's always entertaining for me. Subscribe to keep up with my content. Like, comment, all that good stuff. Check out my Instagram, which I post basically every day on. I have the link for my Instagram down in the description of this video below. Again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.